Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for some DC reviews, and in these DC reviews I'll be covering Action Comics 1077 and Superman issue 20. I'll now get things ready and organized for the first one that I'll be reviewing. Alright, one thing I want to point out as I review Superman Action Comics issue 1077, I will not be covering the backstory because I think these Supergirl backstories would probably be better in the Supergirl or Power Girl comics that they put out each week or each month, and it's just not necessary to be included in the Action Comics run. I understand what they're trying to do, but it just doesn't fit it. Like, keep Supergirl with Supergirl, including the backstories, or with Power Girl. Just something that makes more common sense instead of stupid ideas at DC Comics. So, starting off with first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? In some essence, it does. It is a sort of like a misdirection. Though it would have been nice to see these characters in this particular issue. Of course, we get to see Damian Wayne. We get to see the Bendis timeline John Kent. Must remember that. And of course, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. So we get members of the Justice League, to which we do actually get to see some members of the Justice League make an appearance in the story. And of course, Lois Lane. For the overall rating for the cover, I give a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the area of the internal art of the story, as we'll have a look around the beginning and middle and of course the end. So as the story begins, it takes place in Earth's orbit in the Justice League Watchtower. And of course, we get to catch up with like members of the Justice League, whilst Superman is still in the area of the Phantom Zone, trying to help people out in that area. So whilst the story with Superman is occurring and the Justice League, we have Connor Kent and Keenan Kong also out in space, taking on what's happening then with a situation that's happening, as they have encountered this group of species and they're trying to work out what's happening. Of course, we've got Connor Kent be a little bit cocky of sorts, and he's become an admiral because he's taken on sort of like someone who's the head of this ship that's come into the orbit. And of course, he's wearing the Admiral's cloak. I must admit, very interesting. And last but not least, we have Superman and Mon-El starting to work together as they are helping those out in the area of the Phantom Zone and what is occurring presently. Now, one thing I did hear is the Phantom Zone is dying because of a particular sun that but if it's one thing it doesn't indicate in relation to the Phantom Zone is this a sun that is actually within the Phantom Zone, or is this a sun that is affected outside of the Phantom Zone? Like, is it the Earth sun or is it somewhere else? I think that could have been better explored with the story. Hopefully we'll get some more information in the next issue that will explore that information. And for the overall internal art, I did actually quite enjoy the art for this issue, or for this story, which I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Next is the area of the story itself. Considering how far we are, did we get any references to any comics? Sure enough, we did, to Justice League Unlimited, issue 1. And that would be why we have the cover, it is the way it is, because of its connection to Justice League Unlimited and what's happening with the Justice League presently in the story, and how they're going out of their way to help Superman a little bit more, as Batman helps other areas a little bit more. Next is the area of time, no indication of time. The locations that take place in this story. We have the Justice League Watchtower, the Fortress of Solitude. We have the Phantom Zone, and last but not least, hold on, I think that connects to the next comic, which is a place called Calliton, but we'll get to that when we get to that one. Moving into next thing is the cast of characters. We have Justice League, we have Superman, of course, Mon-El, Connor Kent, Keenan Cole. For the overall story rating, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into Superman issue 20 by Joshua Williamson. So as we move into Superman issue 20 by Joshua Williamson, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the area of the internal art and also what's happening story-wise with the characters, as we have a look around the beginning, middle, and of course the end. So as the story begins, we get a little bit of information about Time Trapper and how Time Trapper himself is actually a form of Doomsday. But I must remind you that Doomsday can actually be killed by the character of Darkseid, because if you read through his first appearance, or Doomsday's first appearance, and also what led to the character's end, it was actually Darkseid who was able to kill the character, because Darkseid played a creation in relation to the character. And I'm surprised that they haven't brought in the lore around that in this. So of course we have Superman and that, and we're seeing some other things taking place. So as the story continues, around the middle, we have the character of Parasite, who is also wanting to come in and try to, I guess, play hero for once, to sort of like help Superman in taking on the character of Doomsday / Time Trapper, or Time Trapper. As the story advances, we do catch up with looks to be Lois Lane and Clark Kent a little bit later on, and the area of Calliton, which will lead to the next person coming into the story. So for the internal art, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the area of the story. First things first, did we get anything in relation comic book reference wise? No, we didn't. Next is the area of time, to which only later was used. The locations that made an appearance in this were Metropolis and also the West Main. Cast of characters consisting of Doomsday, Doomsday / Time Trapper, Clark and Superman. We had Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen. We didn't get this. We saw some members of the Justice League. Mercy. Of course, Superman. Superwoman. And I think I might have missed one more, but I hate my terrible writing, but let's ignore that for a moment and just move to the last important thing, and that is the area of the story rating, to which I give the story a 7 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.